What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is my show, Uncut Astrology, where I take off the mask or the veil and I give you this week's astrological forecast for the week of February 17th through the 23rd of 2016, without any bullshit, with all the raw truth, with the channeling of the stars in the way that I do it. If you don't know who I am David Palmer, the Leo King, and I channel astrology like you've never seen before. I'm all about bringing inspiration, love, and light into these astrology horoscopes. And this is my free weekly. I do a daily horoscope, which you can get for my Apple and Android apps at an awesome $5.99 a month. That's it. You get a horoscope every day, video, you get notifications to your phone, and you get all 12 sign horoscopes every week, and a weekly tarot and a weekly intuitive. That's how much we do on the app. A lot to talk about this week, and I want to do it before the sun comes down. I did this one on sunset, and I got a lot to cover here. I'm going to keep my sunglasses on until that sun comes down, and then we will be back with you in a second with the eyes. Now, really powerful week, because I have been talking about this for weeks. Every uncut video you hear me say, Mars is coming ready to come into shadow period. Mars is coming ready to come into shadow period. And this week on the 18th, Mars enters shadow. Now, what does this mean? Mars is in Scorpio. Its natural home and its one of its most powerful positions to ever be. But it's gonna come to 8 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's going to retrograde at the end of April, come back into Scorpio in May and June, and stop back in Scorpio at 23 degrees of Scorpio, and then move forward again. Then it's gonna have to travel all the way back at a slower speed and come all the way back into Sagittarius, and it doesn't hit that 8-degree spot until I think August 22nd. So that means Mars is technically in a shadow period, which means it's in a space that's karmic. And what is this karmic energy? Well, it's in Scorpio. It's going to deal with the energy of where Saturn has passed over the last 3 years, especially the last year and a half, because the last year and a half was where Saturn ended in Scorpio. This is where Mars is going to do its deepest cuts. Mars retrograde is literally the butcher knife, slicing and cutting at the deepest root. And I'm calling it cutting the cancer out of our fears, of our worries, of our deep inner personal fears that we have no control over in some aspect. I think that this has been very difficult for people to deal with inner fears, and what's this all leading towards is adventure. And the only reason why I'm bringing up Mars shadow now as such a big deal is because literally this is a moment in your life this week where you are having to push into the finalization of this next cycle, which I just brought up till August 22nd, of you facing your deepest fears, but you have to go on an adventure to face them. You have to expand your life. You have to go in a place you've never been before, and with a lot of blind corners. I say that because this is all about Sagittarius. This is where Saturn is. This is where Mars will retrograde officially, and this shadow in Scorpio is coming after that, which means the universe is getting ready, because I think it's really served us up this extreme desire to rebuild our life and to explore and to be fiery and to find positivity again in our life after going through some deep cuts over the last 3 years. And it's going to take expansion. And now what's happening this week? I just wanted to bring up the whole Mars, and Scorpio shadow, and it's going to also be shadow in Sagittarius, but these two signs and these two spaces in the zodiac, this is where the star Antares is. Antares is one of the most powerful stars in the zodiac. It is one of the biggest stars in our solar system, or outside of it in our universe. And so it is dealing with a big red giant, and this is also the territory where Mars is at its, I'll be honest, or at least the energy of this end of Scorpio and this part of Sag is actually, if you look in Vedic too, or if you look in, you don't look at Western astrology, you look at the other side, this is like the darkest part of Scorpio. So to see that Mars is going to cut through this, I mean, this is literally cutting through the deepest parts, the most intense parts of our life. But this week, Mercury and Venus in Aquarius, in positive angles. The only weird angle they're gonna do is the moon will oppose it, and we'll talk about that. But Mercury and Venus in Aquarius, you know, Mercury, our mind's now trying to figure so many things out. And I think that this is a really positive alignment, because I think that this is saying we've got a lot to overlook, and there's gonna be some very interesting scenarios that are brought up this week where you are gonna have to put on the master's eye thinking energy. You're gonna have to rethink things that you've never thought of before. You're gonna have to figure things out. This is the sun finishing in Aquarius, and this is Venus in Aquarius. This is the most powerful Aquarius you're gonna get for the whole rest of this year. And this is gonna be a week where out of nowhere, everything's gonna kind of come out of nowhere in left field and together. While Mars is entering shadow, and this is entering the deep tomb, this is entering the adventure. It's a lot like Indiana Jones in all of our lives. Last week I used Christopher Columbus. Some people got mad I used Christopher Columbus. You know, I don't know how else to explain it to you guys. You know, it's either gonna be Christopher Columbus or freaking Indiana Jones. I like Indiana Jones better than Christopher Columbus. I at least relate with him a lot better. But anyway, this week is that all the developments I really truly feel showing up. I hate to be very honest. I feel like this is the week where this is the final development of where this journey is going. I'm saying that because Mars is entering shadow. I'm saying that because this is the final dose of Aquarius, and then here comes the sun this week into Pisces, where we've got Chiron here, where we've got Neptune here, where we've got the South Node here. And what's this a big battle of this week? The full moon in Virgo. The moon's gonna come into Virgo this week and be a full moon, while Jupiter and Chiron are opposing. Chiron is in Pisces, Jupiter is in Virgo, and this is a reality battle. This is I wanna call it you getting your life together and facing your most intense sensitivities of all time. Now, Jupiter opposing Chiron without the signs is saying in order for you to heal, you have to expand. But in order for you to expand, you've got to deal with your own issues. That means you gotta get on the boat even if your leg's broken. That means you gotta get on the horse even if you've fallen off. That means you have to get back into a relationship even if you've been thrown into horrible relationship situations. That means if you've ever been abused, you gotta go back there and hope that you don't get abused again. You know, that's Jupiter opposed Chiron. And you have to learn, you have to expand, you have to grow. The interesting aspect of this is there's a full moon highlighting all this, and this is also the preparation, the extreme preparation of the eclipse cycle that we're about to start. The reason why I'm saying that, the nodes are in Virgo and Pisces. And here is this huge moment in our life here, where here's the full moon in Virgo where the North Node is, but it's not in the position of where Jupiter and the North Node's at. So we're not gonna have an eclipse. We're almost there though. And that's why I'm saying that these developments this week are so important, because these are leading us to what the eclipses are gonna be like in March. March 8th is gonna be the first eclipse in Pisces, the solar eclipse. And then we're gonna get ready. The 2 weeks that follow that, on March 23rd, is gonna be the lunar eclipse in Aries and Libra. So if you actually start to see, that's not gonna be the time that stuff's like gonna develop. That's gonna be the journey and the crazy stuff that's going on and the adventure and the wildness, and you know, we're entering into the watery, weird world and the spiritual world of Pisces right now. So there's gonna be so much energy that's gonna be confusing, and you having to figure it out, especially with Mercury in Aquarius, especially with Venus in Aquarius, and with a full moon in Virgo that wants to understand it all and figure it all out, and Jupiter's here, wants to understand every little thing, and the North Node's here, but there is a huge pile up of dishes that are overflowing. There is too many loose ends everywhere. There are too many not fully understood aspects of this week while you're being thrown into it, while you're gonna have to heal yourself. And that's why I'm saying it's all crashing down this week. It's like da 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 da. Interesting too that the moon will come into Leo before this full moon on Monday. So we gotta remember that by the end of this week's horoscope that I'm talking about, it's literally not till then. The buildup of this week, and Mars goes shadow on the 18th, it's almost like once we enter the shadow period, it's like the universe has kind of kaplunked you into where you're going, what the destination is, because Mars is about identity. And in many ways, to me, even though it might not be destination, it is identification. So much stuff is being identified, and even though we're in a really kind of weird, crazy time, and we're having to go into things that are gonna heal us in ways we never thought we could ever be healed. Let me turn this up here. We're losing sun, so I gotta keep brightening it. It's beautiful right now though, man. This is a beautiful horoscope, I'm gonna tell you. And then you know what? This is a beautiful week. Because when I talk to my guides, and when I get this information, and I've been saying this for weeks. It's all about this week, right here, when Mars comes shadow. And I don't know why, but the universe has been screaming it to me. My guides have been just like, Mars shadow, Mars shadow. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's interesting that the full moon, with all this Pisces energy that's coming in, remember, we're coming into the sun in freaking Pisces, and we have, you know what's interesting is, ever since Neptune entered Pisces in 2011, but it wasn't until 2013 that we had like the 6-7 pile up in Pisces. We have really had to deal with sensitive stuff that we are not used to dealing with. This is gonna be the first time in 3 years, and let's count maybe 4. We'll go back to 2012 a little bit because there was a lot of Pisces there. But this is gonna be the first time in 4 years that literally when the Pisces energy comes in, there's the opposition of Virgo to kind of stable this neurotic, spiritual, kind of psychotic, spiritual energy that we've been kind of lost in. There is going to be ascension symptom healing happening through this period. You are not going to lose your mind, even though it's going to feel like the dishes are overdone, or it kind of feels like you're walking into a room in an opium den and people are all slouched over, because when you deal with Pisces and this much Pisces and a South Node of Pisces, people are doing whatever they can to escape reality. They're like, I don't want to deal with life. I don't want to deal with everything, but this is where Jupiter is, this is where the North Node is, and with Chiron opposing it, people are like dealing with their issues, and they're not dealing with it in a very high kind of vibrational reality state. And I think that Virgo represents purity, and this is a full moon to test, and actually not even to test, but to know that you are pure, and that there is great purity here right now in your life to really see this week as you're entering into this, and to not let that broken leg, to not let that old fall, to not let the old past, to not let your emotions, because the moon in Cancer this week is going to make very hard aspects. Square Pluto, square Uranus, or square Uranus, opposed Pluto. And then it's going to come right into Leo and oppose Mercury and Venus. And it's like, you know, make sure that this is a lot about oppositions this week too. I got to be honest with you. So this is going to be dealing with, you know, what you love and having to do things with other people to get what you love. You just can't do it alone. Then this is also going to bring up, you know, your issues, your past, and your sensitivities, and that you have to be in reality, and you have to maybe heal yourself by getting into reality. This has to do with extreme karmic, you know, new directions in your life that are coming up, that are about facing your fears, that are about really actually going to what you really want in your life, and that whatever this week happens, whatever is decided by the universe, is because it was karmically defined for you for thousands, millions, cajillions, infinity of why you signed up for this whole reality to go through, and it will come to the bottom of the root of what you really want. You're gonna get to the bottom and be like, you know what? The reason why all this happened was because this is exactly what I want in my life, or how I need to go get to where I want in my life. And with Saturn and Sagittarius, and with this whole energy about this is about, you're gonna have to go there. You're gonna have to go take that journey. You're gonna have to, no matter what you think or what you know, there's too many like, oh God, I think I could do this, or why isn't it happening this way? It's all happening to get you to the root of what you really are, who you really are. Scorpio reveals the truth. Scorpio reveals all the truth that there is. And so I think that this is a very powerful, one of the most powerful weeks. Yeah, last week I said was one of the most top 5 powerful weeks of 2016. I would also say that this one is too, that these 2 weeks, you're gonna look back and go that it was these 2 weeks where your whole world shifted with the Chinese New Year, with that new moon in Aquarius, and with all this energy that kind of brought you into this with a Mars shadow, and more importantly, a Jupiter opposed Chiron, which isn't going away, by the way. We're gonna be doing this for a couple times this year. You know, and I think Jupiter opposed Chiron is bigger than what people might realize, you know, and I think what people don't realize is Mars in the space that it's coming in is coming into the most intense energy. You got to also remember that Saturn is going to station exactly where Mars is going to retrograde, and it's all on the star Antares. This is about finding your greatest, I think, will that you've ever had to find, and go on the adventure of that and find it deep within yourself. It's a power planet. It also unlocks the keys to tombs. It is the tomb, you know, key holder, the planet or the star Antares. So in many ways, this is you finally getting the key to unlock prisons that you've been stuck in your life. But you can't just, it's not like the universe just goes, here's the key. You know, it's like, you got to go do this, and that's the code to unlock the door. It's not a standard key. It's an experience that opens the door. Man, I'm channeling some crazy crap out here. So, but I used to do this a lot, but let's take a little view. That's Saddleback Mountain right there. I don't know if you guys all know about Orange County much, but Saddleback Mountain is beautiful. Let's see if I can get a little zoom on it back out there. Yeah. See the Saddleback? So I want to say this, because I kind of brought up this whole horse thing, that you got to get back on your horse. You can't wait, you know, you can't play the bullshit like, oh, I'm going to avoid getting back up, or that's going to happen in my life again. You can't play that card anymore. No matter how much you might want to play it, you can't. You can't play that card no more. You get me? And so I don't think it's ironic that I'm sitting behind Saddleback Mountain right now. I wish, it's so much bigger, of course, here than it looks on the video, but if that's what this is about, getting back on your horse this week, going and getting back into life, getting back into reality, and not slouching, it's important to take breaks. It's important to have ways to escape a little bit. But if that is your number one first, you don't put escape first, you put escape last. You put break last. You don't start with a break. And I think that you need to realize in your life right now that this is a time where you're gonna have to step up, face your fears, go into the tomb, and find the crystal skull of what you've always been looking for. You know, it's Indiana Jones' greatest adventure that we are all about to go on. Go on my Facebook, I did a whole post about it where I did a video of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It is the Holy Grail. Remember, Scorpio rules the Holy Grail, believe it or not. It rules the Grail Knights too, because it's the keepers of the Grail. And the Grail is the holy truth, and that the end of the day, all the Holy Grail really is the never-ending dedication, because that's all Scorpio is, that you cannot bail out, right? You have to be committed 100%. It is the 100% commitment to God and the holy faith and the holy commitment to the Holy Grail, to the holy light that God gives, which is everlasting. And so in your life, there is a Holy Grail. There is an everlasting light. There is an everlasting passion. There is an everlasting want and need and desire that you have to get back on your horse to get. You cannot live your life in the opium den. You cannot live your life in the shadows. You cannot live your life on the couch. You cannot live your life not wanting to get up and face and deal and do what you need to do to get back on this, get back on this horse to get this passion. And this week it's all here. And everything that's shown up, by the time that full moon hits with Mars shadow already and everything, it's kaplunk. That's the peak of the energy. And then you got to remember 2 weeks from then, 2 weeks is going to be the solar eclipse in Pisces, and that will be I think, full shove off. But I think where you're going and what you're doing is happening this week. And then you have the couple weeks of preparation, you know. So that was my horoscope for you. And I just, you know, there's been so much that I've been channeling from Spirit. If you're not on my app, I do a channeled horoscope. And, you know, you can't get what you want without having to go do things that you never thought you could. You got to do things that might be out of the ordinary to get where you need to go right now. You know, sometimes, I'm going to use my stepdad as an example. He produces skateboard ramps. It's called Fresh Park. Check it out. We're like, my family does the coolest products for skateboards. And he makes ramps and he does a bunch of other things, but he gets it made in China. So when he goes to China, he takes the plane to China. But to get to the factory, you got to then take another plane to another city in China, and then you got to take a freaking boat for like 3 hours. It's like that boat trip, you know? It's like, of course I want to go to China and I want to go to this place, but you don't realize it's like, man, I got to also do these other little things to get where I need to go. That's how this Aquarius energy is kind of coming in my opinion, with all this. It's like, okay, you want to get there, but it's not just like a simple flight, just, okay, I'm there, you know? It's like the universe is going to take us to a weird place. Maybe you got to make a weird detour, or maybe you got to go in a weird direction, but it's going to take you exactly where you really want to go. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be wonderful. And there's extreme healing through this, that this week you have to realize that whatever the situation is that finally gives you all the answers, because Mercury's out of shadow period. We got no planets in shadow except Mars coming in. Saturn is technically in shadow. And how interesting that Mars and Saturn are going to follow each other in retrograde. That's for a whole nother video. I'm going to end it with this week. I got way too nerdy on you. I love you. I am sending you my best. How exciting times. This is an extremely healing time. But remember, you cannot heal yourself if you don't expand, and you can't heal yourself if you don't get back up on the horse, and especially if you're stuck on the couch. However you want to look at that analogy, there's a million ways to look at it. Thank you so much for all the support. Please get me at theleokingapp.com if you want to get on my app on computer, Android, or iPhone. Or you can do it on Windows Phone, just leoking.looksack.com. But everything is through the leokingapp.com. And I appreciate you so much. My Alien series is up at inclusiveastrology.com, and I don't have many spots for readings left. If you want to get a reading with me one-on-one, you can book that at inclusiveastrology.com as well. Thank you so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it. And on this full moon, you know me, I'll be doing a spiritual dance music at spiritualdancemusic.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next Uncut.